I remember watching the movie Hotel Rwanda. Like a lot of millennials, I was pretty young watching that type of movie, and I think it's really heavy, right? One of the questions I had though, and I don't think any adults answered for me, was the lack of involvement from the world, the lack of the world's superpowers, right? Because you got to remember, at this point, some of us are in elementary school, middle school, we're being told the United States police of the world, we're being told all these great things about Britain, France, etc. And I remember thinking to myself, I genuinely remember this, like, yo, how the world just watched that happen? Right? And then you remember other points in the movie where, like the UN, I remember like the UN couldn't intervene on certain things. I remember Belgium being brought up a lot. But anyway, the answer I came up with for myself, because you got to remember, stupidly, but I'm a kid, I was like, oh, the world just probably just didn't know. And mind you, at this point, you don't have social media the way you have it now. You don't have the internet the way you have it now, right? So I'm kind of coming off like a dinosaur right now. But you got to remember, my world at the time, like DSL, the instant messaging is kind of like just coming out. I'm in this point, I don't have a cell phone, no text messaging, right? This movie came out like 03, 04, something like that. But the point I'm trying to make is, that's the reason that I had to be able to sleep at night as a kid, barely a teenager. And I was watching a video today trying to get more insight on Sudan and what's going on in Sudan. And the analyst at a certain point brings up Rwanda and the Rwanda genocide. And immediately, I wouldn't call it triggered, but I immediately did the callback, right? Because if not, we're not necessarily saying they're the same thing, right? That's not what the analyst was saying. So I think it was BBC or Sky News. I want to make sure, I don't misconstrue what anybody was saying. But they were starting to talk about what's going on in Sudan, trending towards that way. And it immediately did the callback for me to go, whoa. As an adult now who knows a lot more about geopolitics and how the world works, I realized I was lying to myself when I was younger, just thinking, hey, the world just didn't know, or, other countries are just letting people sort things out. No, because now what's going on in Sudan lets me know the world knew, didn't take over front page news. I'll bet, okay. We live in a much more, information sort of reliant world where information passes like this, and everybody wakes up just to digest new information. The value of black bodies, foreign involvement, ethnic divide, and also the fragile egos of powerful men. So then I went back. I started looking into Rwanda. Stuff that I wouldn't have read as a kid, stuff that I wouldn't, I learned a lot more about it later on. I can't remember what class in school, but this was like a Jimmy Neutron brain blast moment for me, right? Because then I started looking at Sudan, and I started looking at what's going on, look at how much attention and coverage does this get. Fragile egos of the men leading RSF and SAF, foreign involvement. Countries like, allegedly, we have to put that in front of there, UAE, Egypt, etc. Right, like, and then also, what do the people look like who are being harmed? And it hit me like, okay, that's how this can happen. But I'm not going to keep y'all long. I just wanted to start this conversation. But there are two things for me, okay? Here's my thing. I don't know what your thing is. I know what one of my superpowers is right here. Talk. Raise awareness. Make you care about something. I know that. Second thing I have is my time labor, which produces money. But I've been thinking about this for the last 2 to 3 days. That was like my connection to this. It's like, as a kid, I didn't know no better. But I'm an adult now, and I do know better. And I'm watching, like that analyst says, something similar happen in front of me. And I would be a little damped, whether I'm just a small piece in this whole cog of things or world or whatever, if I'm not able to communicate with y'all what the little kid in me didn't know back then but knows now. Does that make sense?